right. Thank you. Thank you. Good to have the studio audience back, even though I'm not in the studio right now. I'm going to head to the studio here for tonight's guest. Welcome to LEGTV. It is week 12. The weeks keep getting more and more crucial as playoffs are right around the corner. And to see who's in and who's out, let's check out last week's score. And boy, howdy, do we have another 200-point performance. That's 3 in a row from the juggernaut of the league, the 200-point buzzsaw. Pukamon's got to catch them all. 232 to 160 over Anu Roger Goodell. Amon-Ra St. Brown finally had his breakout game. Saquon, another solid game. Brock Bowers, 33 points. Not a great showing for Anu there, unfortunately. Now let's go. Working from Mahomes gets another devastating loss to the former champ. He scored 204 points thanks to Cooper Kupp and Chris Boswell. Yep, he had him. 24 points, and Mahomes got outscored by the kicker. And Jordan Love and Jaden Reed didn't really help out, neither did Christian McCaffrey. 198 to 197. Purdy Little Liars continues to win and stay in the hunt thanks to Joe and Joe in Cincinnati. 37 each, and David Njoku got 19. Jamar Chase, only 26 points for Mr. Jabel Soul, unfortunately. Nickel to nickel, could not pull it off. Austin with the come-from-behind victory with that sack from Danielle Hunter. Juwan Jennings had a nice game for him, but Dan Nickel goes down, and Dak Street continues to stay in the hunt to try to catch that first overall seed. And another big game, the Clock Gobblers over Nick Shook's team, and thanks in part to Taysom Hill's wild performance, scoring 41 points. Jerry Jeudy was also a nice addition there. Both were pickups at the last second in that game. And Insane Ground Posse got a must-win to stay in the hunt as well. Not out of it to get a first-round bye. Jonnu Smith in Miami. Look at that, 30 points. Josh Allen with 28, beating the Chiefs. Poor Mickey boy, not getting a lot of help with Raheem Mostert there with negative points on the board. Wow, so again, remember last week talking about an historic points chase here. It is official right now. Pokemon Gotta Catch 'Em All is on pace to break the all-time points record set by Austin Stoll in 2021. Coincidentally enough, I was right behind him that year, and those two fought in the championship, and looks like it's 2021 all over again. An unbelievable outpouring of points from this team. Will it continue? We'll see as we go into the bye weeks. This is a big one, too. There are 6 teams on bye, so there's a lot of crucial substitutions, players that don't usually get the start this week, and we're going to break them down right now on this week's Owner Spotlight. All right, for this week's special Owners Spotlight segment, all the way live from New York City, Mr. John Dahlgren. John Dahlgren, how are you, sir?
Hard to be better. How are you, good sir?
Doing well. We chatted before we started recording here. Tell us where exactly you are and what are you doing in New York?
Well, obviously, giving away where I am. I'm in New York.
Well, the bar you're at.
At a bar called Jade and Clover, having Peking duck, spring rolls, and beer while they renovate my condo in San Diego. So I'm basically a vagrant.
So your place in San Diego is being renovated. So you're just like, I'm going to go to New York at my other condo in New York.
Don't have another condo in New York. No, living in an Airbnb.
Oh, okay. I thought you had another condo. I was going to jump through the screen and shake you down for money. So, Mr. Dahlgren, let's first cut right to it here. What are you feeling? I guess last week when I asked you to come on, obviously couldn't do it. Probably a little bit more in the dumps, but now after last week's performance, how are you feeling? What is your pulse right now on your squad making the playoffs?
So here's the deal. I'm not going to make the playoff, but I'm going to be probably one game out of the playoffs, and that's going to be how it plays out. And it's so freaking brutal. It's too little, too late. Like, my team is not that bad. Like, it's not a good team, but it's not that bad. And my whole season is telling by the fact that I picked up Taysom Hill like 10 minutes before kickoff
I saw that.
because what's his nuts with San Francisco wasn't going to be playing. And Taysom Hill has like a career game and will be my highest scoring player of the season. And that's my season in a microcosm. My season is a complete fluke of shit to do.
Those were some big brain free agent pickups that I saw they came right before I saw the little notification on my phone right before the game started. And I was like, whoa.
And starting Judy with Winston.
Yeah. That was a good play. That was a good play. Good thing we didn't do our friendly bet this year, isn't it, Mr. Dahlgren?
JD, it's a good thing because the fact of the matter is this is literally the best team you have ever drafted and fielded in fantasy football in your fucking life. Like
I will agree. It's
this
unreal.
Is the best team you have ever had. It's not even close. There is one team that should win the league, and then a bunch of other people that are jerking around for second place. As terrible as it is to say, I've never seen a more stacked team in fantasy football, and I hate to say it.
Well, I am even more glad I brought you on. I wanted to hear those words. I needed to hear those words. That affirmation of a 13 year. How long has it been? It's about 2013. 11 years since I last won the championship. I've gone 11 seasons in a row without a championship, and I've been to 5 of them and nothing.
Well, you know what's going to happen though is you'll get there, and it's going to be one fluky week where the most deserving team loses because that is fantasy.
Yes,
and that's how it plays out. It's going to be, Hurts is going to get his like femur shattered when like Barkley runs into it, and the whole thing comes just breaking down.
Yes, it is. Well, you are clearly know what's going on in fantasy football. If you've been watching this year, we've kind of done things a little bit different. I break down each roster side by side, and then we kind of look at where the good matchups are, who's got the advantage here or there, and then we pick a winner. You ready to do this?
How is it any different than what we've done every other year?
It's not really that different. It's not really that different. The graphics are different, I guess. Just new graphics.
Okay, cute.
Yeah. Okay, you ready? So, speaking of my team, now, obviously, before we go to the matchups...
Are you going to show this on the screen, or do I have to, look it up on my phone like a peasant?
You're going to have to look it up on your phone like a peasant. I do not have the capabilities of doing a live broadcast because I'm recording now, and I have to edit all this, and that takes, another 2 hours to do.
I thought you had stepped up your game. Okay, all right, here we go.
Yeah. I'll start a GoFundMe. While you open up your phone and pick up the rosters, as a reminder, this is a week where there are 6 teams on bye, including Buffalo Bills, Cincinnati Bengals, Jacksonville Jaguars. So there's a lot of people on bye this week, and that's going to play a big, big part. I think the Jets are on bye this week. I thought they were going to be on bye last week against the Colts. Turns out I was wrong, and looked pretty well. You were at that game, Mr. Dahlgren.
I was at that game. Not that anyone's going to rewatch the broadcast, but I was right in the end zone, screaming my tits off as we almost got the fumble recovery for a touchdown, because I literally called it. I go, all right, Colts are going to recover a fumble, run it back for a touchdown, and it happened. And I don't know how they called that back. That was definitely a catch.
Yeah.
They just ignored it. They're like, okay.
Yeah,
anyway.
I agree. Those were good seats. The kid with the mullet was awesome.
I also hate AR. I'm sorry. I do.
He looked good, though. He looked sharp. But, yeah, he's frustrating. Okay. I get it. Okay. All right, you ready to break down Week 12, Mr. Dahlgren?
I'm ready.
Wetty, I know. I was going to say something else. Weak and ready. Okay, I am ready to break down Week 12 with Mr. John Dahlgren live from New York. Let's go to the first matchup. Thank God I am getting Mick Barton this week. This is speaking of bye weeks, I'm taking on Mick at the right time because I am unfortunately also feeling some of the effects of the bye week. And first, as you mentioned, the stacked team. again, it's that 4. It's Jalen Hurts, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Derrick Henry.
Who's on bye for you?
Saquon Barkley. They're not on bye, but Chase Brown is, who is a nice flex pickup, who is now the starting running back in Cincinnati. He's a bell cow back right now. So that is going to be very crucial for me moving forward. And then obviously George Pickens, who slid in with, I had Chris Godwin, who was the second best receiver in the league, out for the season. I had Rashid Shaheed, who was having an amazing season, out for the season, and yet I still had enough players to supplement and back them up and still be on pace to shatter the all-time scoring record this season. Dahlgren, on this roster, where's the weak spot? Are you thinking the flex, the having to go dawdle, or defense, or where's the weakness here this week?
On your roster, where's the weakness? I mean, St. Brown has scored the last 8 weeks straight. Henry and Barkley are the best, tandem running backs we might have ever had in the history of the league. Hurts is probably the top QB.
Yeah,
it has to be the flex, and Bowers is probably the top tight end too. It's ridiculous. It's somewhere between Pickens and the flex. I'm not a huge Pickens fan, but I also just inherently hate everything Pittsburgh.
Me too.
But yeah, probably Waddle, because honestly, that whole offense is out of sorts. But it doesn't matter, because you're gonna beat Mick by 50 points, and maybe you're gonna beat him with a stick too. I mean, it's gonna be bad.
I am projected to win 152-95. Now he has Garrett Wilson on bye. We'll be fair and look at his roster. Brock Purdy's banged up going against the Packers. I'm assuming Garrett Wilson is going to be replaced by Marvin Harrison Jr. He's coming out of the bye. He gets his Arizona Cardinals back this week. Trey McBride, Kyler Murray, and Marvin Harrison Jr. kind of went all in on them and didn't really pan out this year. Jalen Waddle's been a huge disappointment. Austin Eckler is now back to the running back 2 position. Raheem Mostert put up a negative point total. He's third now behind Jalen Wright. And Disley is a nice play for Mick at tight end. And Jackson Smith and Jigba is a great flex play. But man, I don't see any reason to break that down. I think this is going to be easy. Who do you think wins?
I mean, as much as I said, I think you have the best team I've ever seen you field. Mick is at the opposite end of his spectrum for fantasy, and it's not going to be close. I also think that St. Brown might legitimately put a 40 against him.
I sure hope so. I want that points record. Austin Stoll had it. He averaged in 2021. He averaged around 192 points a game. I'm right now on pace averaging 194 points a game. So we'll see. Let's go to your matchup, Mr. Dahlgren. A big win, a must-win to stay alive and have playoff hopes. Because, again, points will get you in if there's people with tied records. You're going up against a former 3-time champion who is on the slide, Mr. Dan Nickel. And he is projected to beat you by 20 points, 140 to 120. That's what Yahoo says. And Nickel picked up Matt Stafford last week and did not play him, and I think he's regretting that because he put up a lot. I think he put up 30-some points. He played Russell Wilson last week. He's not going to do that again. He's starting Matthew Stafford and Tyreek Hill. Now that Tua's back, is finally producing at that level that he's accustomed to. Cedric Tillman is a nice play in Cleveland, although it looks like everybody else got the ball with Jameis Winston, whatever his name is, last week. And I like Dan's running backs. David Montgomery, solid. Kyron Williams, solid. TJ Hawkinson, still kind of coming back from injury. And then DK, that's a solid flex play, having DK in the flex position. Who out of that lineup are you most afraid of on that offensive going off?
I'm probably most afraid of Hill and Williams, to be quite honest.
Yeah. Those are top players.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing is, I don't know how Hawkinson's going to be this week. The problem is I'm playing Darnold, and I'm playing him against a really good defense. So I think this whole matchup's going to boil down to, can Sam Darnold score 25 or more points? If he can, I think I win. If he can't, I think I'll ultimately lose. I still got to put in some defensive players, so it's not as big a delta as it looks like. But
yeah, I see that. I see you got some bye issues.
This is going to be, I think, a close matchup, but I'm unfortunately going to give it to Dan by like 5. it's going to be close.
Well, we didn't even go through your roster yet. Like, you've got CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, go ahead.
A CeeDee Lamb still put up good numbers with Cooper Rush. Josh Downs. Looks like Anthony Richardson can now throw the ball within 5 to 10 yards accurately. That's huge. And, of course, he's,
Did
got
you
the
see
long
him
ball.
miss the tight end who was literally like 4 feet away from him?
Yeah.
It was the worst.
I did. But, man, he ran that 2-minute drill. And I was like, who is this guy? This is the guy we wanted. And he ran all the way down the field and put them in to win the game. DeAndre Swift, he's been a pleasant surprise in Chicago. I keep hearing whispers about Roshan taking over some snaps from him. I don't buy it. And then Chuba Hubbard's back from the bye week. That's a good play, too. Those are not bad running backs, but I still kind of give the advantage to Dan. George Kittle, will he play at tight end? Are you going to play Taysom Hill this week?
No, I will only start him if Kittle doesn't.
That's a very smart.
I'm keeping him there.
Look, I'm telling you, man, he is fool's gold a lot. He will do this, and you will start him and be like, oh, man, I'm looking for that production. And then he gets like 1.5 points. It's so frustrating to have Taysom Hill.
He ran for like 150 yards on like 6 carries or something so dumb. And 3 touchdowns.
It was insane. That wasn't even like the highest fantasy point total this season. That was Jamar Chase with like 65 points. Yeah.
Also against me.
Also, that's right. Oh, poor Dahlgren. I'm also going to take Dan. I'm going to agree with Yahoo and take Dan this week, unfortunately. But I like your chances the rest of the season. Okay, now here is a very, very important matchup. It's the game of the week. Second place, Austin Stoll at 8-3 versus Joe Murdoch's Insane Ground Posse at 7-4. And Joe is in trouble with the bye weeks because he does not get Josh Allen. He does not get his kicker. He doesn't get a defensive player. He's kind of feeling the pain there. Really, is the big one is not having Josh Allen. And his backup quarterback is Kirk Cousins, and he is also on bye. So Joe's going to have to go to the waiver wire and find somebody at quarterback. Now, Austin Stoll's the type of person that would probably go after the top quarterback available just so Joe wouldn't get him, which is a smart play. That's a defensive play.
I would do that too.
Yeah. Oh, no, it's a smart thing to do. But, Joe does have a nice bright spot with Cortland Sutton because Bo Nix is all of a sudden taking over Rookie of the Year over Jaden Daniels. Debo, though, look, I've watched the 49ers every week. I don't know what's going on with Debo Samuel. He's kind of just like phased himself out. Even though Brandon Ayuk is out for the year, I thought Debo was going to be that alpha dog, and it's the Juwan Jennings show. And Ricky Pearsall, who got shot in San Francisco. I can't believe it. But I like his running backs. Jonathan Taylor, Josh Jacobs. Nice play. And a tight end. Jonnu Smith is getting involved in Miami. Finally for them, they have a tight end, I guess. They've been looking for one for all my life that I've been alive. And Calvin Ridley, who had a nice game but he's on the Titans, unfortunately, for him. And as we go over to Austin's roster, he is projected to win big, and that's mainly because his guys are in. Like, he's got Lamar Jackson, who could win another MVP this year. Tank Dell is a nice surprise. And as I said, Juwan Jennings at wide receiver. He's pretty much the main target for Brock Purdy. And his running backs, Kenneth Walker III and Tony Pollard. Now, he does not have Bijan Robinson. He's already subbed him out. That's his go-to guy. So that's the reason why he's not projected to score as many points as he normally would. And then Mark Andrews. Can I ask you about that Mark Andrews George Kittle trade? Or what are you feeling about that trade? That was a head scratcher to me.
It kind of washed.
It did.
I think it kind of washed.
It did.
Yeah. Mark Andrews started to show up like he should have, and Kittle had like one good game, and then he was on bye, and then he was hurt, or maybe had one other game. But it was fine. I saw it as an opportunity to upgrade. And I mean, right now I've got Hubbard is going to probably get relegated with what's his name, Brooks, who's going to come back, and Kareem Hunt's going to get relegated with Pacheco coming back. So I might be kicking myself because it looks like Chubb's going to start coming to his own.
That's very true. Very true. Yeah, that was kind of the most like these are like that Spider-Man meme where they're pointing at each other. It's kind of like they're the same guy essentially. Now, given the bye circumstances, we don't know who's going to play quarterback right now for Joe. Do you think getting a free agent like, I don't know who's available, maybe Russell or not Russell Wilson? I don't even know who's available. Who would you pick off a free agency right now? Like, who's the best quarterback?
Got Geno Smith against Arizona, which I don't hate. Honestly, maybe I would say Jameis Winston if he wasn't playing against the Steelers.
What about Tommy Cutlets there, Tommy DeVito for the Jets?
That's ridiculous. That's just disgusting.
It is.
And Cooper Rush kind of sucks. I don't really know. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough.
Well, who are you taking? Are you agreeing with Yahoo?
I'm going to take an upset. I'm going to take Joe.
Whoa, okay. I did not expect you to go there.
I think he's going to slide into QB. He's also down his kicker here. I think the running back situation is going to be big for him this week, and that's where I think he comes out of this with a lot of points. To be quite honest,
I want Joe to win because I need to get Austin off of my heels. He is just right there behind me. Now I've obviously got the points, but I need a cushion because I want that number one spot. I think Austin takes it again just because he's on fire. He's won like 5 out of the last 7 or something ridiculous. He's been on a roll, and his team is performing. So I will disagree here. That makes for good content here. I'll take Austin this week. Now here, this is a matchup. Look at the projections here. It's 11th place Nick Shook, who's delegating himself back to Hoffa territory, taking on Jable Soul, who has been on the slide. One of the top teams early on. He's just kind of been win-loss, 5th place at 6-5. The score that's projected right now because of the buys is 98-94 in favor of Nick Shook. And this is Nick's chance to get that win because Jable is without Jamar Chase, Travis Etienne, and a few people on defense. And that's not Travis Etienne, not so much, but Jamar Chase is his guy. That's Jable's big performer, and he is done. And he is rocking Jaden Daniels. He's going up against Dallas. I think Jaden's going to have a big, big day against Dallas. And Devontae Smith is kind of hit or miss. They're playing the Rams on Sunday night. Ramondre Stevenson, too. I can't figure him out either. They're in New England. I mean, he put up back-to-back 20-point game, and then he put up an 8-point game. He scored 11 last week. He's just kind of all over the place. And the Patriots are actually kind of looking very mid, which was a lot better than they were at the beginning of the season with Drake May. It's May Day over there, baby. Tyler Kraft at tight end. And, his main flex guy, Khalil Shakir, is also on bye. So there's a lot of people on his bench that he needs to plug in, like Tyrone, or he doesn't really have good wide receivers.
Tracy. He's going to have Tracy go in at running back and probably play Bucky Irving. It's actually kind of painful to look at all these rosters because I see so many players that I had and dropped, and then they started to play football again.
And he's got Bo. I forgot. Jable has Bo Nix, too. So he's got both Rookie of the Year quarterbacks on his team. It's crazy.
I think Jable has probably the stronger team, but there's so many zeros across both of these teams, and it's probably, indicative of
Well, and speaking of zeros, let's look at Shook's roster. He is rocking C.J. Stroud, Nico Collins. That stack didn't play off last week. I think it will this week against the Titans. He's got Justin Jefferson, who is QB proof. He's proven that he can perform at a high level no matter who's throwing to him. Actually, is the reason why Sam Darnold is having such a un-Darnold year. And Najee Harris is looking solid as a running back. He's going up against Thursday night against the Browns. That's always a good game when the Steelers and the Browns play. And Jerome Ford. So those two play tonight on the Thursday night game if this airs on Thursday night. So those will be pivotal.
God he doesn't start Ford. Come on.
I think he's going to. He has to.
What?
He can't start Khalil
scored
Herbert.
like 6 points this year.
I mean, Zach Charbonnet and Jordan Mason aren't going to get it done. And those guys are they're on the bench right now for their team. That's his best running back right now. Nick Chubb, they're still kind of slowly easing him in. So I don't hate that. If I had this roster, that's the running back I would play this week would be Jerome Ford. I would hate myself, but I'm like, well, I'm stuck with it. Let's roll with Jerome Ford. And again, look at all these zeros. No Evan Ingram, no Mike Gesicki, who didn't score a single point last week. And Young Ho Q is also out this week. So yeah, a lot of zeros. Again, like Jeremy Chin's like his leading scorer. He's the defensive back there in Washington now. Who wins this?
He needs to put Jameson Williams in against Colts. I mean,
that's
when
true.
He's played, he's been big.
He missed out on that 24-point performance last week by having him ride his bench. And he's got Xavier Worthy too, but really the wide receiver's not the issue. It's the running back that I don't like. He'll probably put one of those guys in the flex. I actually, you know what? I think Shook fills some holes here, and I'm going to take him to win this week. I don't know why. I'm just feeling a Shook win. I'm going to agree with Yahoo at this point. What do you think? Who's going to win?
I think that's very cute. I think Shook is going to get his holes filled, but I don't think it's going to be enough. And Jabel's going to be the poundage.
All right. You've been in New York for a very long time, I see. Let's go over to this matchup. Speaking of another bye week issues, it's Anu Roger Goodell, 4-7. He's on the slide against Adam Barris, 6-5, in sixth place, just holding on to that last and final wild card spot. He is not really in trouble with the bye weeks. However, let's first look at Anu because he's in trouble here. No Drake London, no Breece Hall, no Tyler Bass. He's without a defensive play. Actually, 3 defensive players are on bye this week, so it's kind of hard to gauge really what it's going to look like because Yahoo has Barris winning 148-89. Anu is starting Anthony Richardson. He did last week, and it paid off. I mean, he outscored his projections. However, he ran into the 200-point buzzsaw. That is the Pokemon. Got to catch them all. And DeAndre Hopkins at wide receiver. I mean, Kansas City receivers, I've always known they're so frustrating.
He's got Navers on his bench, though. He's got Navers down there.
Yeah, that's right. He had Malik Navers was on bye week last week, so that'll boost him 14 points. He'll get in there. But and J.K. Dobbins. I think J.K. Dobbins will come in for Breece Hall. He's got some good backups, actually. Now that I look at it, you got Neighbors, Dobbins. I think I'm going to change my mind on this. Let's look at Barris though. He's got Jordan Love with Jaden Reed stacking that. Zay Flowers, who's still the number 1 receiver in Baltimore. I know they kind of had an off game against Pittsburgh when they lost. I don't think that's going to happen against the Chargers. I think that's going to be another shootout. Christian McCaffrey kind of had an okay game. He was projected to score like 21 points and only got 14. 49ers are in trouble. It's excruciating to watch. And Madison is kind of banged up too. I mean, Madison might not play this week. So he's going to have to find somebody back up. And Travis Kelce, also a very frustrating player to have, especially later in his career, who's up and down. And Jacoby Myers is also, it's a nice play. He's not the number 1 target. That's Brock Bowers. But he's the number 1 receiver. Oh, man, do I take Bear? Yeah, I think I'm going to take Anu just because of J.K. Dobbins and Malik Neighbors coming in there and plugging some holes and backfilling that. But Anu does need to figure out the Aaron Jones situation because he could be banged up again and not play that game. Like Aaron Jones is like, he's injured all the time. And he's one of those players that'll go out and come back in that same game. And then the next 3 games, he's out. Like, it doesn't make any sense. I'm taking Dr. Anu. Who are you taking this week, John?
I like your call, but I'm going to disagree with it. I think, honestly, when James Conner gets pulled up, probably to take the place of Madison here, it's a stronger team, though I don't like the Myers and the flex. But I'm going to go against you here primarily because I think Anthony Richardson just dashes all dreams, and starting him is just a fool's errand. He's literally a cancer.
Yeah. I tend to agree with you there. All right, well, good. Okay, so there's a split there between us. All right, the last matchup. These are two teams that also are at 5-6 and need a win to have a chance at the wild card. Abalash Reddies, Pretty Little Liars, 5-6. Rocky Bitches, Dave Plow, defending champion, 5-6. Going up against each other. Abby does not have Joe Burrow this week. That's a big, big deal for him because that kind of keeps him in games a lot of times. Joe Burrow being a top 5 quarterback in fantasy football. But he's got A.J. Brown. He's got Puka Nacua, who had an amazing game last week. Those two are going up against each other Sunday night. Joe Mixon, 3 touchdowns? Do you have 3 touchdowns on Monday night? Insane. Joe Mixon. What were the Bengals thinking? He looks great in the Houston Texans uniform. Brian Robinson Jr., starting running back. That's a solid play. David Njoku with Jameson Winston playing. That's a solid play. Now in the flex, Alex Pierce. This is where I kind of start losing faith in Abalash. He did get 10 points. Early on in the very beginning of the season, Alex Pierce was the big play receiver for Anthony Richardson. And now that he can kind of dump it off a little bit, he's kind of less valuable because Josh Downs is the man there. And I really thought A.D. Mitchell was going to be more of an impact player on the Colts receiving or on their receiving room, but Alex Pierce is still in the mix. So I don't like that flex.
Pierce had more impact than Pittman.
Oh yeah. Dude, I've been saying that. Pittman is a great backup receiver. He is not a lead guy. He's a complimentary guy. He's like the poor man's Devontae Smith. That's who Pittman is. And he's not even a long ball threat. Devontae Smith is. He's just that guy that you pair with someone that's really good, who gets the best cornerback on him. And so the other guy's more open, and he gets those just little dump off, 5, 10, 15 yards. He's good in that spot, but that's it. And yeah. Oh, I'm so mad we gave him money. Let's go over to Plow's roster, Patrick Mahomes. I said on the show that he was going to have that vintage Mahomes performance, and he didn't. He played well enough, but he did not have a 30-point game. I think this is the first time ever I've seen Patrick Mahomes score less than 40 points in a season. He hasn't done that once. His best game was 36 points. He hasn't gone anywhere near that in all the other games. It's crazy.
This might be the week, though.
This might be the week against the Carolina Panthers. Exactly.
Against the Panthers.
But I was like, man, if he doesn't do it against the Bills, I just don't see it, because maybe they just run the ball all the time and it's just a blowout. And so he's not even relying on throwing or running. He's just handing the ball off to all 7 running backs. I bet Carson Steele gets a touchdown this week. I'm calling it. It's for you, Crocky
That's
J.
That's ridiculous. With Pacheco coming back.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think it's going to be
over Hunt.
Yes. I think he's going to get a goal line carry. They're going to put him in as a fullback, and he gets the Chiefs do all these weird plays with different personnel, and they do that kind of weird stuff all the time. So I think Carson Steele will get a touchdown. Scary Terry against Dallas again. That's going to be a big spot for the Redskins. Cooper Kupp. This is an interesting play. Puka's kind of starting to surpass Cooper Kupp as his age is starting to show. He's going against that Sunday night game. Plow does have Cook on bye for the Bills, so I'm wondering who he's going to put there to pair with Gibbs, because that is a great running back combination. He's probably going to put in
Brooks.
Jonathan Brooks. I mean, is he active? Is he going to play? I don't know. It says questionable. So
looking like it.
It's looking like it, but they're going to ease him in. They're not just going to hand him the ball, 3 times. Plus Chuba Hubbard's healthy. So why would they do that? I definitely like the running backs for Abby over Plow. Dallas Goedert, that's a pretty good play. I feel like that washes out with the Njoku play. I do like his flex, Ladd McConkey. I was going to trade for Ladd McConkey, and Plow just dragged his feet and didn't accept the trade, and I really wish he did. And it's unfortunate, but fortunate for Plow that he didn't give him away. That's a good flex play, especially now that Justin Herbert is throwing the ball. The Chargers look really, really good now. Who wins this matchup of former champions? John Dahlgren, I'll go to you first. Yahoo says Plow. Who do you say?
It's tough because these guys haven't altered their roster, so obviously got a lot of zeros to switch out here. But
Yep.
Tua's going to come up, and it's against New England, and that should be a reasonable matchup for him. I don't like Al Pierce in a flex for him, and I don't really know what's going to happen with Njoku, but his top two wide receivers and his running back, when I just look at those against Plow, I think it's just a lot stronger. The wild card here, though, is going to be Mahomes. Mahomes could have that 40-point game, and that's you talking about it, and this would be the team to do it in a week for that to occur. But that said, I think Avi gets this, and I don't know how you pick what's the game of the week, but this would be the game of the week for me. This has the most implications.
I picked game of the week because it was number 2 versus number 3, and both teams want to fight for that first round bye. So that's very pivotal. Yes, this is do or die too. You're absolutely right. So this is the unofficial game of the week as well. How about that?
Yeah.
It does.
And I think Bobby takes it down, but this is going to be quite interesting to the wire. It should be close.
There has been some close games, more than I can ever remember, all happening in one season. I mean, there's been 1-2-point victories, point correction victories, which are my favorite. Plow lost to a point correction. That was all-time moment. I was reading that live. I didn't know that happened when I was recording, and I was just like, "Oh, Jable lost. No, we did it." It was great. It was a good time. Well, there's the rundown, Mr. Dahlgren. So glad to have you on the show. Do you have any parting words that you would like to share with the rest of your league mates?
Number one, I'll do better next year. This was a shameful performance. My goal is to not be playing for the Hoffa. And at about week 5, when I realized just crashing down around me. So I don't know. Outside of that, it's good luck because you're going to need luck to beat JD in the playoffs. The points, you're like, what is this? Like basically 350 more points than the closest team. It's brutal.
That's true. Yes,
But you'll probably still lose.
exactly. I'm fully prepared to dominate the league and lose in the championship by something fluky. And
No, you're gonna lose in the first. Well, not the first round. You'll lose in your first game.
or that. Yeah.
Sorry.
It's entirely possible. Start spreading the news. John Dahlgren live from New York, calling it the early exit loss for me. Mr. Dahlgren, thank you for joining us on this segment. Come to the draft next time. I think that's the issue. You got to be there in person. I want you to get on a plane, okay, and come to the draft because it's that important that you have to spend $1,000 to fly to Indy for a stupid draft.
Entirely worth it.
Yes, we would love to have you. Thank you, Mr. Dahlgren. Pleasure having you on this week.